So yeah, I guess today we are actually going to learn about the HTTPS and SSH protocol. Okay, so let us try to understand what in a computer, as you know, what is the thing that we can do in the computer. Everything in the system that we do basically is a program, right? That is in the system you can only run some kind of a program. Other than that, you cannot do anything in the system. And every program is actually stored in a file, and every file is stored in some kind of a folder, as you already know that thing. Right now, say suppose there is one more laptop. Okay, and this is a laptop, and in from this particular laptop, say you basically want to run some kind of a program over this particular laptop, so you require some kind of a physical connectivity, and that some kind of a physical connectivity can be established using the networking. Right now, say suppose you actually have a requirement that you want to run this program, as you know, right? So every program that you basically run does something for you, right? It do something for you, right? And as of now, if this computer wants to run something on this particular program, in this case we can say this particular program is the client, and this is called as a server in this case. So what is the meaning of a server, right? You can think in this way. So every program is doing something for you. It is providing some kind of a say services to you, right? So as you know, in computer we can run multiple programs, correct? So any program which is providing some kind of a services to you is called a server. That means you can assume in this way that you are going to a restaurant, and after going to the restaurant, if whenever you order any kind of a food, right? So the waiter is actually providing you some kind of a service. So anyone who is providing any kind of a service is called as a server. Right now, what happened in case in general is that one more thing, you never go to the server, never goes to the client. Okay, client always comes to the server, correct? You never go to the restaurant, you go to the restaurant, restaurant never comes back to you and asks, madam, I want to provide a service to you, right, Aditi? So I hope you have understood till this much. In that case, what is happening is now you actually have a requirement that you basically want to run some kind of a program on this particular laptop, and this so anyone who provide any kind of a services is actually called as a server, because they are serving something to you, that is a service, right? They're kind in the same way program is actually provided. There are multiple programs in your laptop, and each of our program is actually providing some kind of a services to you. Now services could be a mail service, it could be basically a web service, it could also be this DNS service, right? There could be multiple services that we have. But now suppose in that case we have actually have a requirement that I basically want to run some kind of a program, okay, which actually provide me some kind of a website, right? Some kind of a web services. I want to run some kind of a program which will actually provide me a web services. Okay, so web services actually provide you some kind of a way to view the website, right? In your browser, as you know, whatever the URLs that you generally open, everything is a website, right? Even google.com, right? Google.com is a website, correct?
Mm.
Google.com is a website that you see, right? It is a kind of a web services which is actually being provided by some computer. Okay, so now if you if you say computer, if you say server, right, everything means the same thing. So any computer who is providing some kind of a service to you is a server, right? Even a VLC media player, right? VLC media player is also a program, right? It is actually providing you what? It kind of providing you a media kind of services, media services, right? To basically view your video programs, audio, and etc. In the same way, right now you actually have a requirement that you basically want to run a website, right? Now you want to view the website from this particular laptop, from the client side. You basically want to view the laptop. Okay, now as you know there are a lot of services you can that you can provide in your computer. Okay,
Mm.
so the moment when we talk about the server, right, you can provide multiple services from that particular computer. You could provide web services, you could provide mail services, okay, you could provide DNS services, right? And you could either provide FTP services. And for providing all of this, any program that actually provides a service, is called a server kind of a program. Server kind of a program, right? Why? Because they are actually providing you some kind of a services. Okay, today that we are actually going to learn, the first thing that we are going to learn about is the web services. Okay, now say you actually have a requirement that now you actually have a basically have a requirement, okay, that you actually want that someone from the client end wants to see your website. Sorry. So from the client end, yeah. Now, yeah, now you actually have a requirement that from the client laptop you actually want to see a website, right? Now you tell me, that means this computer is actually remotely there somewhere, right? This is the client and this is a server, correct? And as you know, this computer is remote in nature as of now. Why? Because they are not connected via any kind of a cable. They are not physically present. That means currently I am sitting outside of you, so I am actually remote from you, right? Now in this particular laptop I actually want to see a website, right? I actually want to see a website. Okay, in this particular computer I want to see a website. That means this particular website is going to for providing for viewing the website, we actually need some kind of a services or some kind of a program, right, which will actually provide me a service of which will actually provide me a web services, right? Now since you know, you for actually viewing this website somehow via some kind of medium, you will actually have to reach to this particular computer, and then you will have to connect to this program, right, so that you will be actually be able to see this particular web services, correct? Now, so if you have a requirement that you only want the user from this particular computer should only be able to see the website, other than this it should not be able to do anything. That means ultimately he wants to run some kind of a program to basically view the website. Other than that, you do not want to give any kind of control to this particular user. Now somehow, so in that case, if you have to reach from one computer to other computer, so first of all you will have to know the where this particular computer is located. So you need to know the IP address of this particular computer, right? So IP is just a way to basically reach your computer, just a way to reach your computer. Okay, now say suppose after reaching to your computer, okay, now after reaching to your computer, so to which particular program that you want to connect to, how will you know, right? Now after reaching to this particular computer, how will you know whether you have to run the web services, or whether you want to run FTP services, whether you want to run DNS services, or you want to run other services? So that is the reason, in a particular computer there are multiple processes that runs in your particular system, okay, and each process is actually assigned with a port number. Okay, each program is actually assigned with a port number, so that after reaching your computer, how will your network traffic will actually come to know to which particular program or which particular process does it need to connect to. Okay, now any program which is actually providing to you any kind of a services is called a server program. Okay, so you also know date command does not provide you any kind of services to you, right? It is because it is not providing any type of services to the user. It only runs the date command, and it only provide the service to the local user. That means it helps you in viewing the date, but it does not provide anything to the outside world, correct? So now you basically want that after reaching to your computer, to which particular program does it need to connect to, so you can only identify it using the port number. So that is the reason why in your so that this is the actual use case of a port number. Port number is just a way to basically distinguish your multiple programs in your computer. Right now in the networking world, to actually follows any kind of communication that actually happens between your server, okay, between your server or a client, Okay, they always follow some kind of a rules. Those rules are also called as protocols. Okay, so those rules are also called as a protocols. In your schools, you always follow some kind of a rules and mechanism. Those are called the protocol. In the same way, in the networking world, when you want to connect from client to the server, you always follow some kind of a protocol. Okay, and right now the protocol where our requirement is to basically view the website from this particular computer should be able from, that means from the client end, that means I'm trying to basically connect to the Google website, so that I'm trying to connect with the Google server to actually see his particular website. This is the only requirement that we have. Okay, so what Google says, okay, Arpit, I will actually provide you with one services, that is a web services. For that, I am going to run a server side of a program. Okay, server side of a program which will actually provide you with one services, and I will follow some kind of a protocol, and that protocol is called as a HTTP protocol. Okay, which is also called as hypertext transmission protocol. I think it is a hypertext transmission protocol, right? So any kind of communication that actually happens between client and server, I'm actually going to use this kind of a protocol, so that this protocol which actually help me to connect with the program which actually understand the HTTP protocol, which actually understand or which actually runs on HTTP protocol. So one of the program that actually runs on HTTP protocol in your server side, that means in your computer where your particular web server is going to run. So the program, one of the program that actually gives you one kind of a web services kind of a program is the Apache web server. Okay, so this web server is actually a product from the Apache company. Similarly, we have Nginx server. Okay, similarly, we have Nginx server, HA proxy servers. Okay, those are multiple programs that are available in the market being provided by multiple companies. Okay, which actually provide you web services kind of stuff, right? And so this now what happens is, the moment when you actually run a program, okay, the main agenda of this particular program is to give you the access to a particular website. The agenda of this particular basically program is to basically help you in viewing a website that is actually running on top of one computer. Okay, and that protocol through which it actually comes to which through which you actually comes to this particular program, that program is actually called as a HTTP protocol. Okay, and this HTTP protocol, okay, so it actually runs on port number 80. That means any kind of a web server application, any kind of a web server programs, they always run on port number 80. That means now for IP is just a way to reach to your computer. So along with IP, you also need to specify to which particular program do you want to connect to. Okay, so your web server program, that is Apache web server, also known as HTTPD web server. Okay, HTTPD web server is actually a program in a computer, just like your Python program, Java program. So even if I'm creating any application, if I'm providing any kind of a services, so I'm also a server program. So I'm actually providing a service to view a website, right? And what is a website? Website is nothing but it is actually a file, correct? And as I told you, every file is stored in some kind of a folder. So obviously every program now HTTPD web server, the program which are actually running, okay, so what happened is they also have some kind of own configuration files. That means they so the developer who developed this particular program, how will the program comes to know in which particular folder your file has been kept, so that anyone who basically comes to me, I can allow them to basically read this particular file, right? So in the case of HTTPD web server, which is the product of Apache company. Okay, so this is the product of the Apache company. So they have developed their own folders where you have to go and store your .https, your .html files. Okay, so every files will come certain kind of a extension. So any file that in your laptop or in your computer, if you create any file with .html extension, that particular file is called a web file, right? It is called as a web file, or it is also called as a you can say website. Okay, website is something when you run it, it actually becomes a website, but this is called an HTML file or a web file, right? And this particular file, how will your program actually understand, your HTTPD web server will understand that user have to, we want to give the user that anyone who comes to me using my IP address and the port number, I should be able to read the web file. So it actually so the developer who created this particular program, they created one particular location where you have to go and store your file. Okay, that is where/www .html folder. Okay, so this is also called as the document root. Okay, so this folder is also called as a document root. Okay, so now whenever a developer wants to come to this particular program, HTTP web application will always refers to this particular folder, and any file that is actually stored inside this particular folder, that is where/www.html. Okay, so if you store this particular file web.html inside this particular folder location, this is also called as copying of the particular file, also known as hosting of the web server. Okay, so hosting of web server. Okay, so this is what is called as a copying of that particular file to that particular folder is called the web services. That means you are hosting a website from this particular program so that the end user can actually connect to. Okay, so this is what is called as a website hosting. Okay, this is how you're actually host a website on a particular computer. Hope now it is very much clear to you what is an HTTP protocol. And now you understand the meaning of why we basically assign any kind of a port number to any program. That means if I give an example, okay, so suppose you as a developer, if you're directly within
Uh,
the
so Arpit, every protocol is based out of any specific port. Like they have a fixed
correct.
port number, right?
Yes, yes. Suppose if you are running with a SSH, that is a remote execution program, which I'm going to teach. This program runs on port number 22. But if you want, you can change the port. Okay, if you can change the port to 23, 24. So each port in your laptop always has to be a unique number. So this is only use case of port number. There is no other use case of port number. Port number is just to, you can think actually like this, that in a class there are multiple students and each student actually has a roll number. Correct. In the same way, in your laptop, you are actually running with multiple programs or multiple process, I can say, and every process is assigned with a port number. And any program or any process who actually provides some services to the outside world are called the servers, because they're providing you some kind of a services to you. Though that is actually called as a server. So right now I'm just trying to copy one file that I've created in my laptop into the document root, that is the where/www.html, because the developer who created the Apache product, right, that HTTP web server, so they created any file that is stored in my default location, that is where/www.html, okay, which is also called as a document root. So any file that is actually coming on this particular this one on the folder, okay, any program that is actually coming in this particular folder, the first from the IP address can reach to my particular program using my port number 8, and he can actually see the particular website. Okay, so but this is a server, right? Our requirement is only that developer can come and read the website, or you can view the website. Reading or viewing the website means the same thing, right? I don't want that anyone from the outside world should have any kind of remote execution. Okay, I don't want the developers from I don't want anyone from the client side or anyone from the other laptop via my IP address. If they reach, and somehow if I give access to my entire laptop using some other kind of a program that is known as SSH, okay, and if the developer get access to this particular program, they can do a tons of system. They can go and delete my files, my important folders and all, right? I will be coming to the SSH shortly right now. try to understand that why HTTPS protocol, because HTTP protocol help you providing a facility so that the developers can go and view the website. You can also create your own server kind of a program, and you can give some kind of a facility, okay, to basically the user to do anything whatever you wanted. So that is the reason whenever you are doing any kind of a coding, and whenever you are developing using any kind of a programming language, you always assign the port number. If you want people from the outside world can come and connect to, that actually distinguishes your particular process out of the multiple process that is actually running on your system. That means your computers is actually listening on port number 80, I can say. It is actually listening, right? It actually listens to this particular port number. Okay, now let me show you now to basically configure a program, right? You basically want to configure this particular program so that people from the outside world can come and they can see your website, correct or not? Right now you have a requirement that people can come and see, and they can actually see the see your website, correct? This is what your requirement is actually, correct or not? Hello, Aditi, hope you understand, right?
Yes, yes, Arpit.
Yeah, so any program who is providing some kind of a services, those are called the server programs. Okay, now to basically configure any program or to basically provide any services, there are three steps that we take, right? So first of all, you will have to install a program, correct? So using these three steps, if you follow, you can configure any kind of a I can say server, you can configure any kind of a computer as a server. If you follow this particular step, it could be your web services, it could be your mail services, it could be your FTP services, it could be your DNS services, right? And all of these services are nothing but it is a program. Since it is a providing your services, that is the reason why it is called as a server, right? This is the only meaning of a server. Other than this, there is no meaning of the server, right? So these are the three I think step by step method. Okay, so if you know this particular method, that working on any kind of a configuration of a particular server as a computer as a server is a piece of cake for you. Okay, so for configuring any server, what you need to do, first of all, you will have to install the software, correct? This is the first step. Then you need to configure the software. Configure the software, through which I mean is configure a software. That means I mean is you will actually have to copy the folder into this particular directory. Okay, you will actually have to configure the file, right? You will have to create a file. Only then you will actually have to create a file, that is say web.html, right? Web.html, and then you will have to store this particular file into this particular directory. That is called a configuration of a server. Configure the server, and then you need to run that particular program. You need to run the program, but as a service. And run this program, but as a service, so that people from outside world can come and utilize this particular service, but you need to run that as a service, right? So these are the three important steps. If you take, then you can configure any program as a service. You can configure SSS service, you can configure HTTPS service, HTTP service, or you can actually configure FTTP services, right? You can actually configure DNS services. So these are the three important steps that you actually need to understand. Okay, configuring the server means every server, every program, it has their own kind of configuration file where they store in their own particular directory. Every software comes with their own particular folder structure, or they can configure with, or they comes with their own folder from where they actually consume the file, I can say. So that is what is called configuring the server. And third is you to basically you have to execute the program so that people from outside world, when they come to connect you, they can actually utilize your server. That's how you actually run any program, right? In computer, first you install the program. Like if you take the example of VLC media player, right? You first install the VLC media player, you make a little bit of some kind of a changes, like the aspect ratio of that particular website, not website, I can say the aspect ratio of the video which you plan to play, right? You press Control A, so that you just make little bit of tweaks and tricks of your aspect ratio, that is 9:14, So you know how the movie or how the screen will look like, so that when you're watching a video in VLC media player. Third is you basically run that VLC media player, so that you are running a basically a video, okay, so that I'm able to watch a video. That's what you are doing in the VLC media player or any other player also. Even when you're running a Python program, you first install the Python program, right? Without the presence of this particular, without the presence of any program, how will you run any program? You will not be able to run the program, right? So these are the three steps that you actually need to take to basically run your program. So let us now watch this particular practical. Okay, so the today in the today's practical, that what we are actually going to see, we are actually going to use the product of Apache, that is HTTPD web server. Okay, HTTPD web server, which is the product from the Apache company, and by God grace, the name of the software is itself is also HTTPD only. Okay, now as you know, I have already explained you that using the yum command you can install any software in your Red Hat Linux. I hope I have already taught you this thing in the previous class already. Okay, so let us see how you can install this particular software and run. And today we are going to make our VMs as a web server. Okay, today we are going to make our VM as a web server. Okay, so first of all you will have to install the software HTTPD, right? So today we are going to install the software. So you see, as I already explained you in the last class, so the moment whenever you install any program, so that means whenever you install any RPM file in your particular repository, you remember that yum is such a software which will also install all the dependencies, all the dependent packages and files and folders that is actually required to run your HTTPD web application. That is also called dependencies resolution. Aditi, you remember I explained this thing, that the moment when you, this is the beauty of the yum, that is also install all the dependencies that is actually required for this particular program to run. You just have to tell the yum what is the software that you need. Yum will automatically install this software, and along with it multiple dependencies along with that also. Now instead of using yum, I would suggest you to basically use DNF, which is the advanced version of yum, right? So DNF HTTPD web server. Okay, now I am going to install this particular web application, right? That is, now we are installing our program. Okay, our program is getting installed, correct? Okay, so right now what we have done is, the first step, that now we have to configure our computer as a web server. So now what we are going to do is, let me just clean the board. So right now, what is the first step that we have done is, right now the first step that we have actually done is, in our VMA, in our VMA, we have actually installed the software. This step is already done. Install the web server or install the program, right? Install the program. This step is already done, correct? And the second thing, now we'll configure the web server. Now we'll configure the program to, we'll configure the program. That means copying your particular website to the folder where slash www.html, correct? Now let us do go and one thing. So before copying the file, what you have to do, you will actually have to create a file. Okay, gedit arpit.html. Okay, gedit. Okay, now this is my first website. This is my first website. I'm not providing any kind of HTTP like HTML tags and all. Just I'm doing normal only. So you can go and apply the tags, colors, and all everything. Okay. So right now we have already created our file. Now you see we have already created one file, that is rp.html. Now we are going to copy right now in which particular directory we are in the root directory. Now we are going to copy the file rp.html. html to var/www.html. Okay, now this particular file is already there. Okay, that means we have hosted our website right now, or we have copied our file into this particular folder. So copying of the file into a folder, okay, into the document root which your program actually understand, is called the configuring of the files or configuring of a server, right? That is copying of your file. So any kind of configuration means what? You are actually writing some kind of a file into the folder which your any program understand. That is what is called configuration. Configuration means you can think in this way. You're configuring the application. That means you are actually putting the things. I can say you are actually trying to put the things into a particular folder, right? So that is what is called configuration, right? You make any your that is you are making some changes into your file and folder structure so that you can actually run that particular program. Hope that makes sense to you now. Now we have already performed the second step. Okay, right now we have already performed the second step. Now the third step.
Can you again, can you just once again explain the second step?
Okay, so right now what I have done is I have actually created one website, okay, with the name rp.html. Okay, I've created this particular website. So you can use the HTTPS tags and all. Right now I'm not using, you might have learned that HTML, CSS, JavaScript, you are using the BR tag and all those things, right? BR tag and all those things, break lines and all those tags you are using, right? So basically to create your website, if you remember, you may use your, this kind of tags you are using. Okay. So right now I was just not using any kind of a tag. So there are multiple HTML tags that you use to basically create a website, correct? Aditi? Hello.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah. So I was not using a tag. You can use your tags whatever you want. This is just a demo, right? So right now I have created one HTML file. Think you this is a very good application file that we have, web application file. That I have created one file. Now then using the this particular copy command, I have actually copied my rp dot particular folder into the document root which your HTTPD program understand. Okay, so the moment when you copy any file inside this particular directory, okay, your web application automatically start reading that particular file. Okay, now other than this, if you try to keep your file in any other directory or in any other folder, then your web application will not, because these are the default root location. This is a default document root location which your web application understand. Okay, but if you want, you can actually change this location as well. Okay, if you want, you can change the location by going into the configuration file of httpd conf file. Okay, there is a special folder known as the httpd conf file where you can go and change the document root as per your convenience if you want. Okay, so right now this is the default location. Whenever you put any .html file, automatically it start running as a website. Okay, this is what is called configuring your application. Hope now you understand clearly, right?
Yep, I got it.
Yeah. So every folder, how will you know, right? You are a developer, you created the program, so you know from this particular folder a user will actually be consuming your program, correct? Now the second step is to basically run your program. Now the second step is actually to run your program as a service. Now the third step is actually to run your program, as a service. Okay, run your program as a service. So this, if you follow this three particular approach, you can configure any program as a service. Okay, so this is how all the server side programs, if you follow this particular three steps, okay, through this particular three step, you can actually configure any operating system, any servers, whether it is on-prem server, whether it is your cloud VMs, whether it is your own laptop, or whether it is your company's laptop, you can configure any particular program as a server. Now it depends upon you what kind of services do you want. Okay, now the third step is to basically start the program as a service. Okay, so Right now, the way to basically start your program as a service is using the system CTL start STDP. Right now, if you see the status of your program, okay, it will show that it is in a disabled state. You see, this is this particular service, it is HTTPD is running as a service, right? And one more thing, and in your computer, if you in Linux operating system, the moment whenever you are talking about a service is also known as a daemon. Okay, service is also, if you are running any program, service is also known as a daemon kind of a program. So any programs which actually provide some kind of a services, those are called a daemons program. So if you say service or if you say daemon, means the same thing. Okay, so that is the reason why when you write system CTL start HTTPD, so where D signifies the daemon. That means this is a service kind of a program. Okay, so whether when you start an so if you want to start an say SSH, right? So the same command you'll use, in you will write SSD. That means you want to provide remote kind of execution program, that is your daemon program. Okay, that means this program is actually running as a service. So this is why all the programs in your Linux operating system, if it is providing you some kind of a program, those are called the daemon programs. DEAMON, daemon program. Okay, even your operating system is also a daemon, because it is providing you up with a service to you, so that you can come and create all the files, folder structure, everything. So that is your reason why your operating system is also a daemon program. Okay, now you hope it, so that is the reason all those program which is running as a system is being stored in this particular directory as a daemon file. Okay, now let us understand. Right now you see our service is just in the load state, it is not in the active state, right? That means our service is not running. Now let us start our service. Now if you see the status of this service, automatically now this service become active. That means anyone from the outside world, if they try to run on your, if they try to basically connect with your particular website, they will be able to connect, right? So one more thing, uh, there is a guard who is always there right now. That means if you try to connect, what is the IP address of your laptop? Okay, right now what is the IP address of your laptop? I have config. So this is the IP address of my laptop currently. Correct? Correct, Aditi? This is the IP address of my laptop. Okay, now our program, HTTPD program, is actually running on port number 80. How we can see is netstat -enlp. You will see our HTTPD web application. Okay, it is running on port number 80. You see this particular line? You can see this particular line, right? This particular line, that means you know what is the meaning of this particular line. You see foreign address, that means if any network in this whole world, if they come with port number 80, okay, automatically they will be able to connect with your HTTPD web application. This is what is the meaning of the line. So your particular laptop will be able to listen to that particular port. So this is what is the meaning of this particular line. Okay, now you're understanding what is the meaning of this particular line. And see, this is the process ID of your particular program. I told you everything in the system that you do is this particular process ID. Okay, ES-aux, right? So your computer is running with multiple programs, right? That is the reason this is called a process ID. You see, this is the process ID of your program right now. You see, when I told you system D, right? This one. This is your operating system always run with the process PID1. Okay, this is not the port number. Don't get confused with the port number. This is the process ID. Okay, port number is a different thing. So port number in your computer there are multiple programs. So if you are going to give one program as a service to someone, then you assign the port number to that program. Got the point, right?
Got it. Got it.
So that is the reason right now we are actually going to provide this particular HTTP program as a port number. So we are giving the port number as 80. I'm also going to come on SSH also. You see, we are going to provide SSH port. Okay, and SSH ports run on port number 22. I'm also going to come on SSH later on. Let's come understand this one. Now that you know what is the meaning of this particular line, the meaning of this particular line is, it is saying that if anyone, if anyone from any particular network, okay, if they want to come and connect with me from any particular IP, if they want to come and connect with me on this particular port number, okay, I will allow them to connect to me. That means the moment when you specify this particular port, your IP address of your laptop where your website is running, you also have to provide a port number along with that. Okay, and then IP is just a way to reach to your computer. Now after reaching to the computer, how will you come to know to which particular program you want to connect to? That is the reason you specify the port number, and after specifying the port number, you actually want to connect with what program? arpit.html. So this is going to the complete endpoint, I can say, or this is going to your URL through which you are actually connect to my IP address. So I've already told you the IP address of my laptop, right? Now one more thing, let me tell you one thing. So the if these are the three steps to configure your web services, okay, so in the client side also you need the so now from the client end, if you are sitting at the client end right now, Aditi, you are sitting at the client end, okay, right now you are sitting at the client end, so you also need some kind of a client side application which actually understand this particular web, which actually understand the server program. So you also need some kind of a client side program that actually understand that particular program or the port number, right? So you also need some kind of a client side web program, and which can actually which can actually help you to talk with that particular program on the server end, right? Without the client side program, without you cannot work without any client side program of that particular software. You cannot connect, you cannot basically uh, connect to or talk to that particular program. Okay, so you also need a client side program to which you will be able to in case of HTTP, the client side program or the client side software that you actually need to install in your laptop is your browser. Okay, so your browser is a client side program which basically understand that particular program or the protocol. Got the point? So your browser is the client side program. By default, in your computer, the browser automatically comes. By default, it get installed and come in your laptop along with this. So this browser is called a client side program.
Okay.
Okay, in your laptop using the browser only is a client side program which actually understand HTTP protocol, okay, through which you are able to connect to some other machines and you are able to view or read the particular website. Okay, now website could be a dynamic or static one, depend how the developers have created. That is also one of the thing. Now you see right now what is the IP address of my laptop. I showed you this is the IP address of my laptop. I have config. This is the IP address of my laptop, that is 192.168.29.4. Okay. Now one more thing. Right now, suppose you are actually sitting on your client laptop. That means from your particular browser, you will actually try to hit me with this particular IP address. Along with that, you will actually put the port number and then you will actually write this particular entry. But right now, as you know, in the networking world right now, so from your particular laptop, when you try to hit using this particular endpoint to my laptop, there is actually a guard who is sitting in my laptop. That guard is actually called as a firewall. Okay, every system has their own firewall. Even right now, my VM, my Red Hat Linux VM is actually using the firewall who is actually protecting my particular Linux operating system against any kind of a attacks or and all, right? So there is a guard who is sitting. This guard you need to come and show to this guard, hey, guard bhai, what you need to do is I am coming to you. Please allow me to basically access this particular file. So guard will say no. I will, by default it will say no. So you will actually have to make an entry into your firewalls, in your entry in a firewall, that anyone from any particular laptop, if that comes and wants to connect to you with the HTTP protocol on port number 80, allow them to come. The guard will say Okay, fine. I am allowing because my owner has said anyone who comes on HTTP protocol and port number 80, I'll allow them to come. What if I stop this particular firewall? Okay, anybody will come, can be able to access my HTTP protocol and port number 80. So this is what is called firewall. In cloud world, this is also called the network security group. In case of Azure, in case of AWS, this is called the security group.
Got it.
Okay, but right now, I am not going to allow it. I am going to stop that particular firewall as of now. Okay, later on we'll see how to make the changes, but as of now, we are going to stop this firewall D. And firewall is also providing you a service. That is the reason why we are stopping the firewall right now. Okay, now if that now what is happening? The moment I stop this particular firewall, anyone from the outside, if they want to come on port number HTTP and port number 80, they can directly connect to me because I have removed this particular guard. मैंने उसको नौकरी से बाहर निकाल दिया. Okay, now anybody can come and connect to me. Now using the IP address of mine, okay, that is system seat. That means IP config. If I open my browser and if I try to connect to, I'll be able to connect to my website. Okay, that means if I open my browser and type HTTP colon 190 HTTP colon 192. What is that? 192.168. 192.168.29 29 dot what is it?
1 6. Okay.
Mhm. Yeah, tell me.
Yeah,
One
yeah,
more
I
thing.
was recalling your benefit.
One more thing, that if you don't specify the port here, so what happened? By default, browser automatically places the port number 80 over here. Okay,
Okay.
so if you specify this or if you specify this, means the same thing only. Okay, now you see I'm able to basically see my website. That means right now this is my independent laptop and I'm able to connect to my particular website. I showed you, right? I'm able to connect to this particular website and this is my first website. So this is what HTTP protocol is all about. Thanks for
Okay.
watching.